The idea of femme fatale. Nobody is more fierce, more dedicated to being fierce, kind of being known as like a badass woman, than Cersei Lannister. She gets a lot of attention as far as being the blonde, voluptuous femme fatale. But what I've been doing, some of my research is going through and kind of doing a comparison and contrast, if you will, between the characters of Catelyn Stark, who is prominent and is featured in this episode heavily, who is a more matriarchal figure, and kind of looking at her versus how we view Cersei Lannister as a traditional femme fatale. On the surface, these two women cannot be more different, but in reality, they both share a strong and inseparable bonding love for their children. And that love is what drives them to make the majority of their decisions throughout the series. So let's take an episode, look at this episode. It's episode 9 of the 3rd season. And then we'll have a little chance to discuss. I'll get some reactions from you guys, if there's some questions. And you can give me some feedback. Here we go. Episode 9.
A scripted television series. Impressions before we kind of start talking. For those of you who have not seen any, you've never seen any Game of Thrones, there's no gentle way to lead you into the world of Game of Thrones.
I got the book, but I didn't know read.
Does this make you want to go read the book?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, you don't have time to read, which I understand. But you can quickly find yourself immersed in this world created here. And especially if you start looking at certain aspects, I teach film and television production here. So I tend to look at it more from a perspective of how it's shot, how the characters are portrayed on screen. How would you describe just the world? And I know you just had a taste. There's 7 seasons of this, 10 episodes each, I believe. So this is a pretty hefty series to try to absorb. But what are your first impressions when you see this episode? What do you think of the world? Okay. Well, okay. You can posit it since our theme kind of is like medieval times. As far as characters, at the beginning, there's a lot going on. The Starks are at the Fries. They're there basically to attend a wedding. Somebody's getting married. King Fry's mad. Robb Stark was supposed to marry someone of his daughters, granddaughters. He doesn't care. Somebody's going to marry one of his. So they're having a wedding. So how this process of the female characters, how are they treated? Badly? By who? Their father? Yeah, what do we think about King Fry?
I know he didn't care about his wife.
He didn't care about his wife. Does he care about his daughters? Granddaughters? Twins? Take whoever you want, pick whoever you want, take them both, I don't care. So we're kind of immersed in this very patriarchal society where women are treated as things, kind of property, if you will. You don't get a lot of Daenerys in this episode. She's off with her men raiding, and they're going out and pillaging her little, and I refer to him as her boy toy of the moment, brings her after they've gone and pillaged on her behalf, kneels before her, the way she is presented, her long flowing blonde hair, camera angles, she is shot from a very canted angle looking up. She's very petite, very blonde. She represents, this powerful female figure within this world, this very male dominating. And so he presents her with, a bloodied flag. Here, we've just pillaged. We give this to you. And she's now taken another city. So she is starting to acquire her territories and her rise. And then we have the Starks, who are struggling since basically the first season to figure out their place within this world as well. And Catelyn Stark is the matriarch of this family, who is the mother figure, who ultimately has her throat slit at the Red Wedding. So how do you think of her as far as mother figure? Do you think of things like this when you watch TV shows or movies? Do you think, how is this character portrayed? How is she portrayed as a woman? How does she look? How does Catelyn Stark look? What is her look, overall look and feel? Does she feel motherly to you? kinda, sorta, but she's a mother, so what do mothers instinctively do? They're gonna protect their kids. They're gonna protect their kids at all costs. And especially if it's their firstborn. And so this is kind of in the story arc of the world of Game of Thrones, where this episode really takes off. We lose a character, obviously, a couple, because this wedding scene builds to the point where when this first came on, I mean, it's one of those on Sunday night, I was just going, they've done it again. They've done it again. And you kind of, in the world of Game of Thrones, pretty much by the 7th, 8th, 9th episode within a season, George Martin's going to give you something where, oh, somebody's gone. A major character has been killed off, someone has died, something has happened. And does it with this episode where, you know, we have this matriarchal figure who has led us on this journey for the past 3 years, for these 3 seasons, and now is gone. But with her being taken out, and she's taken out, and Robb Stark is taken out by the Lannister clan. Cersei Lannister, long, beautiful, blonde Cersei, who I could talk about for another whole 2-hour presentation, but I won't. I mean, it's hard to just focus on Catelyn in this episode, because, you know, in the end, she meets her maker. But in the end, she also proves what a mother figure she is. She kills for her child. She watches her child die. And then the other female character that really begins to take root and rise here is young Arya, who is the child who has been out in the wilderness with the pig farmer, posing as the pig farmer. She, since season 1, has been separated from her family, as has little Bran Stark, who's beginning to realize he has powers. He can manipulate people, things. He might be a wolf. They're trying to figure out his lot in life. And as far as characters go, this is kind of the episode where we see Arya really begin to come into her own as far as where her story arc goes for the next few seasons. So portrayals of like these female characters, when you look at Catelyn, when you're looking at the story arc for young Arya, I have a couple of people who said they've watched the show. Have you like watched the character of Arya progress over the last few seasons? Insights on that? Anything to share? You know, there's so many different characters in there. I think these are two, like Catelyn Stark and Arya are two that are fairly overlooked. Everybody wants to talk about Sansa. Everybody wants to talk about Cersei. Everybody loves, you know, their mother of dragons. But I tend to be an Arya fan. Ever since, you know, she saw what she saw in season 1, I've been like, oh, that connection where I was like, wow, that's impactful for a child to live a life that way. Because I don't want to give away spoilers. I want you to go watch it. Check it out. The episodes are in the library, so go check out the book. Read a chapter, see if you can get into it. So what are some of your observations, considering, you know, I have people that are like dedicated fans who watch it, and then some of you just watched it for the very first time. Observations. How do you observe it? How do you process it? How do you take it in? Because this is not your average 22-minute, you know, TV show sitcom. And people that get into it are pretty hardcore dedicated. They're going to, oh yeah, you're going to be at 10 o'clock on Sunday nights. Game of Thrones. I mean, how many, the world of memes that just have erupted from Game of Thrones. You know, the Lannister memes alone are numerous, you know. It's from the Lannisters. We give you a gift. It's from the Lannisters. Little calling card. So things like that, they become integrated in our society. That are just, you know, from characters and from portrayals from a television show. That, you know, somebody may be sending you a meme, texting you a meme. It's from a Lannister, so now you know that means. You'll know what that means. It's not good. So any questions? Comments? No? Y'all are just enough is enough, huh? A little much for a Tuesday afternoon? Well, good. And, yes.
Well, I've tended to be a fan of the show and of the book since the beginning, and I really love that you brought forth this particular episode because it does show Catelyn, this mother figure, truly becomes that femme fatale. She is a killer woman, literally. that she takes a life in her hands to try to protect and motivate and save her son, even though she's not able to do it. She murders for her child.
She does, and I think a lot of times, especially in film, when we deal with like this idea of femme fatale, you see, you know, immediately it goes to Cersei Lannister, where you're like, you know, oh, she's tall, she's gorgeous,
Seduction,
long, flowing
yeah.
blonde hair before she's shamed and does her walk of shame thing. But Catelyn Stark she's more stoic, she's more matriarchal, she's more of what we think of when we think of a queen in this world. But yet, when she is forced to make that decision, she very easily proves, excuse my French here, what a badass woman she is. Because she's not only watching something bad happen to her children, she knows it's going to happen. She knows before it even starts, like what's about to happen. When the music changes in the tone at the end of the wedding and they go off for the wedding ceremony and she sees the doors and the chamber music just changes to this very somber selection. And she watches those doors close. She knows what's about to happen. And it's not good. And there's no way out. She's trying her best. Because what's a mother going to do when her child's in trouble? Like, let's make a deal. You can do what you got to do. Let's make a deal. Let's get out of here. Take me. Let my son go. It's not going to happen. She knows it's not going to happen, but she's a mother. She's going to do what she has to do. She's going to kill to try to protect her own children. And so that's what it kind of escalates her character into that realm of women portrayed in movies that will go across that line to kill.
The other thing that I'll go ahead and interject is that at this point in the show, it definitely diverges from the book. So keep that in mind if you do choose to go and read the books, that Catelyn doesn't end here in the books. Something else happens to her. Her character continues in a very different way. So it's kind of an interesting twist in the choices that the directors made to essentially have her character end at this point in the story versus that other storyline that the books carry on with.
Yeah. And I have read the first book. I have not read beyond that. But I have watched all the episodes. So caught up through season 7. They are filming season 8 now.
Yay.
Yes, of course it'll take, a year and a half forever for it to be released. But if you have some free time, I suggest checking episodes out. They're here. And the library, so you can watch episodes. You don't have to pay $15 a month to HBO. You can check them out. Watch them when you have some free time. And thank you. I hope you've enjoyed coming and getting to know a little bit about Game of Thrones. Thank you.